All right, so I've been running the numbers, and there's not only new viable weapons, but there's new meta weapons that are insane inside of Warzone. We're going to be going over the top 10 builds that you guys are going to need. These are not only primaries, but also secondaries. Some of these builds are going to be kind of familiar weapons you've seen in the past. Some of these are builds that have just not been discovered yet, and you're going to be one of the first people to get them. Anyway, before we get into the builds, make sure you guys drop a like. If you guys find any value in this content, screenshot any of the builds, share it with a friend. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future uploads. I have a lot of tip, guide, and loadout videos in the works, so if you guys don't want to miss that, make sure you guys are subscribed. All right, getting into the builds, the first weapon up that you guys should be using is going to be the MTZ Interceptor. This was recently nerfed, but it is still one of the best, if not the best option in Warzone. It's a 3 to 4 shot kill. I believe it's a 2 shot kill if you hit him in the head one of the shots. Still a 3 shot, but still absolutely disgusting. The spam ability is insane. It's like a DMR, but I would say it's even more powerful than the DMR from Verdansk. It does run on sniper ammo, so make sure you're carrying extra. As you can see, virtually zero recoil. Here's the build for anybody who wants it. Again, if you guys do screenshot any of these, please consider subscribing to the channel. But getting into it, we have the Spirit Fire Suppressor. This helps with that recoil and also ups the bullet velocity and effective damage range. Then we have the MTZ Blackthorn Barrel. Again, effective damage range and bullet velocity. The Choreo Eagle Eye 2.5 times. It hurts your ADS just a little bit, but it gets rid of pretty much all of the visual recoil, and arguably it's my favorite sight in the game. Then we have on the stock, we have the MCW Blackjack. This helps with the recoil without hindering your ADS or sprint to fire almost at all. And then obviously the 20 round mag. Now we know a good loadout isn't only made up of great primaries. Arguably the most important part is going to be those close range gunfights, and that's going to be where the secondary comes in. The best secondary in the game, my favorite at the moment, is going to be the Striker movement build. And the reason it's a movement build is because pretty much everything's maxed out for movement and mobility, but the thing that makes it so good isn't necessarily how fast you're moving around, but how fast you strafe when you're walking. As you can see, I'm getting extra aim assist when I get around these corners, and it's literally locking on basically onto the targets without me even touching my right stick right now. Again, there is a little bit of recoil, so you might have to play around with the build. If you're not a higher skilled player, maybe get rid of the hand stop for maybe a red dot. It could help you out a little bit, but for me, the recoil is super manageable. TTK is great, and again, the movement is just insane. The outplay ability with just being able to strafe and walk, you're getting so much aim assist while breaking the enemies. It truly is one of the best secondaries in the game currently. Getting into the build for the Striker, here it is. If I had to get rid of one attachment in order to go ahead and get a red dot on this, I would take off the spiral flash hider for sure, because the hand stop and the stubby barrel help with the movement speed so much, specifically the ADS movement speed. But we do have the flash hider on to help with some of that recoil. As you can see, it does take a little bit of a hit to the ADS speed, but really not that bad, especially when you consider you're probably going to be aim down sight walking using this weapon. We have the Striker stubby barrel. Again, it helps the movement a ton. It doesn't hurt the effective damage range or bullet velocity. This is obviously a sub, so hurting those two things aren't that big of a deal, while you're getting all the benefits on the mobility column along with the handling. Obviously, the no stock is a no-brainer. It's going to increase your recoil a ton, but you get insane mobility buffs. Obviously, a 48 round mag. You are able to wipe an entire trio with 48 rounds with well-placed shots, so I don't really think it's necessary to put the 60 round on. Obviously, it does hurt the mobility and the handling, which kind of defeats the purpose of the build. But if you find yourself needing more rounds, throw the 60 round on. Why not? And then obviously the last attachment is going to be the hand stop. We have this doing the recoil and gun kick while getting a bunch of mobility buffs. Now, the next weapon is kind of a sleeper weapon that nobody knows about. It's going to be the SVA. This thing full auto is not terrible, obviously, as you can see, but the real magic comes in when you switch it to single fire. So if anybody remembers the AN94 from Warzone 1, or even all the way back during Black Ops 2, the first two bullets come out of the gun just a little bit faster. As you guys can hear here, every time you pull the trigger on single fire, it's shooting 2 bullets. This basically gets rid of all of the recoil of the weapon, and if you have a fast trigger finger, you can get an insane TTK, because you can't forget in Warzone, whenever your weapons are on single fire, you're doing more damage for some reason. So highly recommend that you guys give this a go. No recoil even over range, and it is just an absolute monster. Again, if you have a good trigger finger, it will definitely help you out. But even if you don't, because you're doing more damage, I mean, it's really just like a DMR on steroids, because you're shooting 2 bullets instead of 1. This is the build. I have the Spirit Fire Suppressor. Again, this is going to help recoil along with bullet velocity, kind of making it a little bit more like a hit scan weapon. You're getting almost 1100 millisecond bullet velocity, which is crazy for an AR. Then we have the precision barrel, which is obviously going to help with that bullet velocity and the recoil. Then I'm using the Choreo Eagle scope. You'll see this kind of be a tried and true thing that I put on pretty much all of my weapons. The 60 round mag, if you guys are rocking quads, if you want slightly snappier handling, you can go ahead and put the 45 round on if you're running solos. Again, it just comes down to preference. Since this weapon has virtually zero recoil and we're running it in single fire, tap fire, I don't feel the need to stack another recoil attachment. So I actually go ahead and put on high grain rounds because this is going to help our effective damage range, making it even more like a DMR. And then we get that 15% boost to bullet velocity, making it basically hit scan at almost 1100 meters a second. While we're on the tap fire meta, we have here the fastest killing close range meta option inside of Warzone. This is kind of a new weapon that nobody really knows about. Well, it's kind of come into the limelight a little bit recently. This thing is disgusting. Obviously, it's not even meant for this range, but you're still able to put targets down. This is actually the Core 45 with the conversion kit, and it has a binary trigger. So what a binary trigger is basically when you pull the trigger once, it shoots a bullet. When you let it go, it shoots another bullet. You shoot it, you see? As I let go, it's shooting another bullet. This isn't like a modded controller or anything. This is just how this weapon works in game, which does make it a little bit wonky, but it means that you're almost able to get full auto with this conversion kit. And then with that, the Core 45 TTK is insane at 525 milliseconds. This is basically 100 milliseconds faster than the Swarm with virtually no recoil. This makes it one of the best secondary options to use in the game currently. But here is the build for anybody who wants it. We have the Bruin Triport. This is crucial because you need to mitigate the recoil as much as possible. The movement and the ADS is already phenomenal, so hurting those things isn't really that big of a deal, but you want to try to mitigate the recoil as much as possible. So I have the Bruin Triport. It does have a little bit funny of an iron sight, so I really do enjoy having the slate reflector. If you guys want a red dot that has a little bit less fuzzy of a dot and a more precise dot, you can actually go over and use the NIDAR model 2023. I'll have my editor throw up kind of a comparison of the two right now, the blue dot versus the NIDAR. The NIDAR is definitely a little bit more precise in terms of visual, but there really isn't any difference other than that. Moving on to the precision stock. The precision stock is crucial because it's going to help with the recoil control yet again. It really doesn't hurt the ADS or the sprint to fire, so this is going to be probably the biggest benefit to the weapon. You're going to need the 40 round mag because of that binary trigger. You'd be surprised how fast you can mag dump with this thing. And then the thing that makes all the magic happen is going to be the IPv2 conversion kit. This thing is insane. You can see it increases the effective damage range, the bullet velocity, it helps with the horizontal and vertical recoil, and it changes the rate of fire to 800 rounds per minute, which is quite literally insane. It's 100% increase. Again, highly recommend you guys try this out. If you guys can handle the binary trigger, it is a little bit weird, but if you guys can handle it, definitely give it a go. Super broken right now. One of the biggest questions I get always is, what is your current sniper setup? And this is gonna be it. The Cat AMR is the best sniper in the game currently. There are other snipers that one-shot headshot. They are gonna be the Warzone 2 snipers, but they only one-shot headshot with explosive ammo, which basically makes them useless because the max bullet velocity you can get on an MW2 sniper with the explosive ammo is like around like 500, 600, 700 millisecond bullet velocity, which is pretty hard to use unless you're up close. The Cat AMR smokes those. It's a little bit slower, a little bit heavier, but it is disgusting. The dummies in the range are bugged, so they don't actually die to one-shot headshots, but I promise you this build does one-shot headshot. So getting into the build for you guys, this is gonna be it right here. I have the Sonic Suppressor XL muzzle. This helps with the bullet velocity and obviously the effective damage range, which doesn't matter because of one-shot headshots at any range, but the bullet velocity is what we're after, and the key is bullet velocity without hurting the ADS, because there are other attachments that you could get a max bullet velocity build, but I have this one fine-tuned for a specific reason, which I will go over in a second. Getting into the Zang 34 barrel, this helps with the bullet velocity yet again. The FSS OV laser is going to be for the ADS and sprint to fire. We have the quick bolt attachment, which is going to help your rechambering speed a lot, helping you get more shots downrange faster. And then these spiral point rounds, which are really kind of the key, the sauce to getting insane bullet velocity. This one maxes out at 1181. Again, you could get closer to the 1400 range bullet velocity if you wanted, but I promise you this is going to be the best build for you. The reason that this build is so good is because the rechambering speed with the ADS speed. So basically, by the time I ADS and shoot, by the time I can ADS again, another shot is already loaded. So highly recommend you guys try this build. This is kind of like a aggressive cat sniper. So for those of you who may have only played Warzone 2 and haven't come back and leveled up any of the MW3 guns yet, we have a classic for you. This is going to be the Lachmann Sub from MW2. This does have the zombie mastery camo on it. A lot of people are probably going to be asking that this is bioluminescent. This thing is insane looking and it's insane in game. The TTK is phenomenal. I've actually been using this a lot in solos as a sniper support and I like it a ton. So if you don't have any weapons leveled up, the movement speed is good. Everything is good on it and the TTK is honestly phenomenal. So if you don't have any weapons leveled up or you just want to go kind of with a classic route, this is going to be the build for you guys. So the Lachmann pulsar barrel helps with the movement speed and the ADS speed. We have the VLK laser. This is going to help with the ADS and sprint to fire. The mirror factory recoil helps a little bit with recoil control, but mostly we're using it for the small buff that we get in the accuracy department. The Lachmann TCG. Now this is going to be the recoil heavy hitter. This goes ahead and helps recoil a ton without hurting the handling at all. And then obviously the 40 round mag. This does have the option for the 50 round and it doesn't slow it down all that much. So if you guys want to use the 50 round, feel free. This weapon is definitely one to look out for. The next weapon you're going to want to be using is the Pulemyot. Now this weapon has been a meta for a while. It has 100 rounds, virtually zero recoil. It doesn't get any better than that. Zero recoil, 100 rounds, insane TTK. The reload is the only thing that sets it back. Aside from that, the ADS is really good and the movement speed is, for an LMG, I mean, you wouldn't even know. You would think you have an SMG in your hand. Anyway, getting into the build, the real sauce with this is going to be the Jack Annihilator aftermarket part kit, because if you guys look at this, you see the minimum damage range is buffed by 1,354%. So this is where the secret sauce comes in, because this is currently bugged. It's been bugged for a while, but man, oh man, does it make this thing a heavy hitter. Obviously, you get all these other benefits. You see the mobility's through the roof, the handling's through the roof, the accuracy, fire rate, recoil control, everything goes through the roof with this aftermarket part kit. With that, you're going to want to use the Spirit Fire Suppressor. Obviously, recoil control is the name of the game here. You're going to want to use the aftermarket part barrel. This is the only one that you can use, and this is going to help with your effective damage range and your bullet velocity. This thing's almost putting out 1,000 millisecond bullet velocity. It's literally insane. The 2.5 times obviously does hurt ADS a little bit, but it minimizes that visual recoil. So definitely a fair trade-off in my opinion. And then the Commando recoil reduction stock. This is going to be getting rid of pretty much all your recoil for the most part. But if you guys want to go ahead and get a screenshot, here it is. Make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe if you guys are screenshotting any of these builds. Getting into my favorite secondary inside of the game, and that is going to be the WSP Swarm, and specifically the Swarm with the 100 round magazine. You basically can squad wipe without having to reload. It doesn't impact the mobility or the ADS at all, and this thing has no recoil, and it's insane out to a pretty good range. Obviously, this is a little bit further than you probably should be using a Swarm, but you get the point. Again, this is the NIDAR sight. This definitely is a little bit more accurate for you. And the best part is you almost never have to reload. You could squad wipe for sure with 100 rounds. This thing truly is kind of one of those do-it-all weapons. Great sniper support as well if you're looking for something that, you know, can just save you at a lot of weird situations, because obviously sniping, you're not going to have a secondary to swap to. So having the 100 rounds, it really is helpful. Getting into the build here, we have the Purifier muzzle to help with that recoil. Obviously, it's going to help with the horizontal recoil. That's the hardest to control when you're playing on controller. Personally, the Kimura Ryan vertical grip, this is going to help with that recoil again without really hurting the ADS or the sprint to fire. Obviously, you got the 100 round mag. You can see the 100 round mag does hurt the ADS speed by 23% and the sprint to fire by 4.3%, whereas the 50 round mag only does 14%. But you can see the numbers, the percentages are pretty high, but the numbers aren't that far off. If you're using the 50 round mag, you're really only losing, you know, 20 milliseconds, maybe even less. I can't do mental math. 20 milliseconds or less on the ADS speed. So really no downfall to using it. The FSS heavy stock is crucial because you need that for your recoil reduction. This thing does jump a little bit, has a lot of horizontal recoil, and this is going to help that a lot. And then obviously the NIDAR sight is just a little bit more accurate than the slate reflector. It really comes down to preference. There really is no right or wrong answer when it comes to it. I will say on your perk packages, a little side note for everybody, you should be running cold-blooded by now. Cold-blooded, pretty much everybody is using high alert perk slot 4. So what cold-blooded does is basically stops people from being alerted when you do look their direction. So definitely use that for sure. This is my kind of favorite loadout right now to use. It is very good and it's really fun. It is definitely probably a more skilled player gun, but honestly I think anybody could use it because it's actually has literally almost no recoil. If you could guess what this weapon is, I would be surprised. This is actually the MTZ 762. You can see I'm liking using it with iron sights. You could obviously swap one of the attachments for a red dot, but this thing has almost no recoil. The major downfall is 30 rounds in a mag, but I'm telling you, I was playing solo duos the other day and I was able to get 2 kills and 2 fools without having to reload and having extra rounds in the mag, just because it kills so quick. Highly recommend you use this. This has been one of the only weapons I've been able to counter the MTZ Interceptor with. Funny enough, because it's an MTZ 762, but this is the build for anybody who wants it. The TY-LR8 muzzle, this is an MW2 muzzle. This is going to help with the recoil in an insane way. It makes it so much better. The MTZ precision barrel is going to help with your effective damage range and your bullet velocity. The Bruin heavy support grip is obviously your recoil control kind of underbarrel go-to this year. The 30 round mag is the largest mag you can put on it, but highly recommend using it instead of the 20 round because that 10 extra rounds goes a long way when you only take 7 shots to get a knock. And then obviously we're going to use a recoil control stock. This again is my favorite weapon right now. And then this is probably one of my favorite sniper supports and just one of the best SMGs right now currently. This is the WSP 9, the cousin of the WSP Swarm. 0 recoil, literally insane damage over range. You can actually take targets out really, really far away, especially when you're in game and you're getting aim assist at deep. You can see you're able to put shots on target pretty easily, and the TTK is insane, along with the mobility being great. The fire rate is a little bit slower. It kind of reminds me of the MSMC from Black Ops 2. I am using the 40 round mag. I do believe it has a 50 round if you wanted to swap to that, but here is the build for anybody who wants it. This is going to be the Purifier muzzle, similar to how we have our Swarm set up, but the Purifier muzzle, the Camaro vertical grip, the 40 round mag. Again, you do have a 50 round. It doesn't really change the numbers that much. You probably want to use the 50 round, but I was playing solos when I made this build, so 40 round is what I was rocking. If I was in squads, I'd definitely throw the 50 round on. The classic factory stock is going to help with the recoil a ton without barely hurting the ADS speed. And then obviously the NIDAR, just a little optic because the iron sights are a little bit funky, and especially because you're probably going to use this. Honestly, you could use this medium to long range. The TTK is perfectly fine for doing that, and so having an optic on it is definitely going to help. That is your top 10 loadouts. I do have a bonus loadout for you guys because this, I could not leave it off the list. It really is just that good. It is the ISO 9mm from MW2. You probably see this ground loot all the time on the map, and you probably skip it up just because it's an MW2 gun, but you should be picking it up. Virtually 0 recoil, large magazine, and the TTK is phenomenal. When the name of the game is keeping shots on target, this is going to be the submachine gun you're going to want to use. And again, if you don't have any weapons leveled up from MW3, or maybe you're coming back, trying it out on Christmas, trying the new Warzone, highly recommend go ahead, try this out. The ISO 9mm is disgusting. I'll get into the build here right now for the bonus build, if you will. Here we are. We have the spiral flash hider, the VLK laser 7 milliwatt, the Res 2 stock, the Expo shear rear grip, and the 50 round mag. Now with the shear grip and the laser, this is going to give it one of the best sprint to fires in the game, and the ADS is just out of this world. All right, this is Future John. I forgot one of my favorite weapons in all the games, so I had to add an extra bonus loadout. So my 12th and favorite weapon and best kind of weapon to be using right now is going to be the TAC Eradicator. This thing has very clean iron sights, essentially the same as like a TAC V or the TAC 56, which was in Modern Warfare 2, or just like the classic Scar irons. 0 recoil. The first couple of bullets come out really quick, meaning that you're able to get knocks super quickly as well. This is the build for anybody who does want it. We have the Spitfire to help with the recoil control, the Bruin heavy support, again, recoil control. The long barrel actually helps with the damage range a lot, and it doesn't hurt our ADS at all. We have the covert core, or the TAC, sorry. We have the TACVert core stock. This, again, massive recoil control advantages to that, and the FSS combat grip. If I was to swap out one of these attachments to add a sight to this, I'd take off the combat grip and go ahead and put on like the Corio Eagle Eye 2.5 times. You can see here it still has like virtually no recoil, a lot clearer sight picture, etc. Over range, it does get a little bit bouncier, but for the most part, not horrible, definitely usable. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to drop a like. I have a lot more tips, tricks, and guides videos coming out. If you screenshotted any of the builds, found any value in the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Happy holidays, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.